Hello from St. Louis, Missouri. We are Guy and Alicia of the Cultured Hearts family, and this week we had an awesome time in St. Louis. Before we get into talking about St. Louis, I wanted to take a minute. A few people have asked us how we are going about our first couple months of traveling, whether we're in an RV or what we're doing. So we made the decision to start smaller when it comes to full-time travel. We are taking the first 8 weeks and staying in destinations that are within 14 or 15 hours of our hometown of Nixa, Missouri. We have 4 storage bins, 2 suitcases, a couple backpacks, and it all fits into our truck bed. So we feel like that way we can kind of get a feel for what we're going to use and not use, and ease into not only full-time travel, but the full extreme minimalism. And then when we go home after the 8-week period for the first time, we will reevaluate and slim everything down to be able to fly.
My favorite part about St. Louis was the house.
Here we are. What do you think? Our first Airbnb.
Great.
Yeah, you like it?
I'm gonna sleep in the purple room upstairs
That's exciting.
with purple paper wall.
Purple wallpaper?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
it's gonna be fun.
Good.
We're gonna live in lots of different houses like this.
We are. Try out different houses. Find out where we want to be, right?
Yeah.
Think you could live in St. Louis so far?
I think this place is the best. We can stay in forever.
Say goodnight.
Good night.
We ended up getting into St. Louis at about 10:30 p.m., but nobody really went to bed until well after midnight. Everybody was really excited about getting in. Something we really hadn't thought to look for in an Airbnb was making sure they were single-level homes. Ronan really enjoyed the stairs, and we had to put a couple of our storage bins in front of the stairs to keep him from using them as a jungle gym.
So for future reference, when you are looking for an Airbnb and when we are looking for Airbnbs in the future, you know that feeling of comfort that you have at home. You know what your kid is going to do, what they're going to get into. You know if they're going to crawl into the fireplace and have a snack, or if they're going to get into the toilet. With Airbnbs, we just had no idea. They were getting into random things and leaving things that I would expect them to mess with alone. So I think for future reference, we are going to look for Airbnbs that are a little bit less homey, I guess is a good way to put it. Just your basic couch, bed, kitchen items, and a little bit less trinkets and things like that. Definitely avoiding the stairs.
So our first night in town, we ended up going to the Christmas lights because everybody was really wore out from the night before and, well, really the 3 weeks before. And so we ended up going to see some Christmas lights at a place called Santa's Magical Kingdom. And it just looked like an obscene amount of Christmas lights scattered about this drive-through park. Can you tell me what City Museum is?
The City Museum is basically like a park that's inside the building. There is a bunch of different tunnels, and it's really cool because you can go up one tunnel and you can come out of the other tunnel where there's a bunch more tunnels. But sometimes you go in a circle without even knowing that you went in a circle.
So we just went into Walgreens because we're about to go to City Museum, which is full of all these super cool tunnels that you get to run through and crawl through and climb up and everything else. So we got a headlamp that you put on top of your head, and you can put the GoPro on so we can crawl around and have a light and video it.
We're at the City Museum.
That's right. What do we do inside? What do we do with all this stuff here?
We play.
I do want to say about St. Louis in general is that they offer so many family-friendly activities. It doesn't matter what season it is, there are lots of free and or fairly inexpensive things to do. A lot of times when you're in the Midwest, the options for fun and family activities are outside, so you're looking for spring and summer, otherwise it's too cold. But St. Louis really does have a lot to offer.
Speaking of one of the free things that we ended up doing, we ended up going to see the Science Center. Very cool little area there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we got busy having fun and I didn't pick up a whole lot of footage. We did go see a chemistry show and Grayson went ahead and took the GoPro up and got as close as he could. Basically what she was doing at the chemistry show was taking different chemicals and spraying them into fire and teaching us a little bit about why fireworks are different colors.
It was really interesting. Then we had an unexpected adventure on our last day. We were looking to visit Pappy's Barbecue, which we've visited before and we knew was really good, but the lines were just crazy long and everyone was really hungry. So we went to Fitz's Root Beer Brewery instead, and it might have been my second favorite thing about this St. Louis trip. It was so much fun. They had great food, they had games, they had pool, they had where you could see all of the bottles being made. We really enjoyed it. The root beer floats were massive. We ordered 2 and they split it into 4 cups for us and it was still way too much.
With all that said, we really look forward to seeing you next week in Houston, Texas.
See you next week.